This video response is going to go out to Charlotte Lieberman, and it's also going to go out to Megan Parkin. And that is because Megan Parkin uploaded a video entitled, "Did You All Hook Up?" And she based that video on an article that Charlotte Lieberman wrote for the March issue of Cosmopolitan magazine. I also read the first 4 paragraphs of that article, and by the time I was done, I had formulated so many questions to ask Charlotte Lieberman that I finally had to stop reading the article and make this video. So what do I want to ask Charlotte Lieberman? Well, let's go through the first 4 paragraphs, shall we? Let's see what was stated. Number 1, Charlotte Lieberman said that she was attending Harvard University. Okay, so she was in college. Fine. She also said that she was attending a party, okay, in November. Now, was this like a pre-Thanksgiving Day party? Did she actually have plans to go home for Thanksgiving and spend time with her family at Thanksgiving time? She never mentions any of this. Okay? And she doesn't mention who hosted the party, whether there was any alcohol at the party. She doesn't mention any of this. Okay? So she meets a guy at the party. And the guy says, "Maybe we will cross paths tomorrow night." Well, here's what she didn't mention. Did she ever ask this guy what he was majoring in, or how much financial debt he was getting himself into to major in whatever he was majoring in? She also doesn't mention how much debt she is acquiring by attending Harvard University. She doesn't mention any of this. And why is this important? Okay, let's suppose hypothetically that she had decided to get really big time involved with this guy, and maybe those two finally got together and got married, and then they started having children. Okay, now here comes the problem. The problem is college debt. I'm sure both of them had car loans. She never mentions that either. Now we're going to have a house mortgage. Now let me tell you something. When a young lady has a baby, she's going to be out of work for a while. That's just a fact. She may not be out of work forever, but she may be out of work for a while. Now, who's going to take care of the expenses then? Usually that's going to be the guy. Now, he's so overwhelmed with debt that how is he going to afford to take care of his spouse, himself, and all that debt at the same time? Yeah, you'd really have to have a real high-paying job for that, and one that you knew was gonna be there tomorrow. In this job economy, are you kidding me? Right. I'm not even sure if this guy knew for 100% fact that even when he did get his little degree, that he was actually going to be able to find a job. That's not mentioned either. Okay, because there are a lot of college kids that get their degree and then they end up at a fast food joint because they couldn't find a job in their field. It's just the way it happens. And they can't go back and train for a different career because they've already gotten themselves into a buttload of debt. There you go. That's why it's important to know things like this. One, you need to know what career they're going to get into and how much debt they're getting themselves into to have that career. It makes a big difference of how you handle things in the future. Basically, when you go to college like that, you're there to learn. You can have a social life later, but right at that moment, you need to learn and you need to keep your grades really, really high. But just because you get the degree doesn't necessarily mean your grades are that high, and an employer will see that. Guarantee it. And he'll assess how much he really wants you at the job based on your GPA. Sometimes a diploma just isn't enough. Okay. So the guy says, "Maybe we will cross paths tomorrow night." And he says, "I'll text you." What? Are you kidding me? You know, if I was dealing with a young lady and she came up to me and said, "Hey, maybe we'll cross paths tomorrow night and I'll text you," I would say, whoa, 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 wait a minute. First, I'd ask her a few questions, and then I would stand there and say, "All right, are you going to spend time with me tomorrow night, or are you not? Let's make a concrete plan. You can always break it later if you have to. You can always text me later and say, hey, we have to break it. Well, let's make a concrete plan. Let's make a commitment. Because they can't even commit to this. What's the likelihood they're going to commit to a job? Or a house? Or even a permanent relationship? This is a bad sign. You either get this person to commit to you or tell him to walk away. That's my message to the millennials. And thankfully, I am not a millennial. But I do happen to know a few millennials that think the same way I do. You're either going to commit or you're not. This is a test of commitment. If you're not going to commit, don't bother. Let your yeses be yes and your nos be nos. And yes, there are millennials that believe that way, and they follow that kind of a guideline in their life. And they are far more successful than those who don't. So if I got a message for you millennials, that would be it. Let your yeses be yes and your nos be nos. And if you have to break off a commitment, just be honest. Say, look, I changed my mind, I couldn't do this, so on and so forth. And just be perfectly honest with people. Because breaking off a date is not going to kill anybody. Might be a little bit of a disappointment, but it won't kill anybody. Make the commitment. Don't be afraid to do so. It shows genuine interest in a person. That's the way it works. Then we have this Alex Williams, who wrote an article for the New York Times telling everybody that millennials are confused on how to find a boyfriend or girlfriend. The reason why they're confused is for the same reason that they can't get a job. They're not being very well educated. It's that simple. It's up to people like me to educate people like them. Say, whoa, 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 wait a minute. First, don't acquire that much debt. It'll bite you in the rear end later on, trust me. It creates friction in relationships. I guarantee it. Abraham Lincoln didn't have a great big degree, and look, he became a lawyer. There are plenty of career fields where you do not have to have that giant diploma. Or you can proficiency out of a bunch of courses, saving yourself a ton of money, and then you can work in a medium range position until you get enough money to get that higher degree. Okay? Because all that piece of paper says is you completed something. It's a certificate of completion. That's all it says. And a lot of that you can achieve on your own. The first thing that a young person should focus on when they get out of high school is not a relationship, but a career. Focus on a career first, then focus on a relationship. But as you're focusing on a relationship, also focus on the fact of how you're going to pay for things, like your car, like your house. Don't get a car loan, and do whatever you can not to get a house loan either. I've had neither one in my life. And I co-own this house that I live in right now. So don't tell me it can't be done. Okay? So, if you're one of those that don't have debt and you're 45, 50 years old, be proud. And if you're a younger person and you don't have debt, be proud. That's what I say. You millennials need to wake up. Debt can wreck relationships. It can destroy your mentality at work. It can lead to clinical depression. Don't get into it. Stay out of debt as much as you possibly can. And let me help you do that. That's what I'm here for. Now, I'm sure at some point I'll go ahead and read the rest of the article. But man, do you see my points here? Alright. I will tell you more in a future video. Stay tuned.